Hello mga mahal! Welcome back to my learning channel. This is one of tutorials where you can level up your math skills with me, Miss B. So hello! Nagbabalik na naman po ang inyong resident math teacher na tutulungan kayo para mas maintindihan nyo ang inyong lessons sa math. Diba? Okay, so nandito pa rin po tayo sa ating series ng Grade 10 Math. And before I continue with our lesson, if you haven't already, please like this video and then please subscribe to my channel para naman lagi kayong updated sa latest videos ko on math. At saka, pakiclick nyo na rin yung bell button para lubos-lubosin nyo na ha. Para kayo ang unang-una laging makaka-view ng videos ni Miss B. Okay? Alright, so ang ating topic for today ay theorems about chords, arcs, and central angles. So yan po, meron tayong 5 theorem na aralin today at sana you keep up with me and you keep watching the video up until the end para mas matutunan nyo siya. Ang lesson po na ito ay pang grade 10, nasa second quarter na po tayo at nasa week 4 na po tayo. Okay? So, ang objective po natin ay to understand these theorems involving arcs, chords, central angles, at saka inscribed angles. At para magamit din natin ang mga theorems na ito, ang ating objectives po for today is to understand theorems involving arcs, chords, central angles, and inscribed angles, and then to use these theorems to solve problems. This is in line with our most essential learning competency of the week or milk of the week, which is proofs theorems involving arcs, chords, central angles, and inscribed angles. Alright, so mag-start na po tayo. Okay, so bago tayo magpunta sa ating bagong lesson, magre-review po muna tayo kung ano yung inaral natin dun sa previous lesson natin, which is Introduction on Chords, Arcs, Central Angles, at saka Inscribed Angles. Okay? So, meron po tayo ditong circle sa ating screen. So, para matandaan natin, ang ating circle ay mayroon po tayong dot sa kanyang gitna or center. Okay? And then, any segment that is drawn from the center to any point of your circle is what you call your radius. Kapag maramihan, radii. Okay? And then, of course, the other segment that you can form is from one endpoint or from one point on the circle to the other. At ang tawag naman po dito ay chord. Okay? So, you have your first segment, the radius, and then, of course, you have the chord. Now, kung meron po kayong dalawang radius, yung nabubuo po niyang angle, yan po yung tinatawag natin na central angle. Okay? And then, if you have two chords, ang nabubuo naman po niyan ay yung tinatawag natin na inscribed angle. Okay? So, for these angles, yung part po ng circle na kanilang nai-intercept, ito po, at saka itong part na ito, yan po yung tinatawag natin na arcs. Okay? So, yun na po yung mga basic things natin na kailangang matandaan or yung basic concepts with circles. Okay? So, now let's proceed to learning our theorems. Ang ating first theorem po ay in a circle or incongruent circles, two minor arcs are congruent if and only if their corresponding angles are congruent. So, that means kung meron daw tayong corresponding angles na congruent, so kung may dalawang angles na congruent, yung kanilang corresponding arc ay congruent din. Okay? And since ang ating statement po ay if and only if statement, then ibig sabihin if yung arc yung given, then yung angle din po ay congruent din. Okay? So, para mas maintindihan nyo siya, maglagay tayo ng visual. So, let's say I have this one. I have circle E, tsaka si circle I. Now, si circle E, meron pong central angle SET, at saka si angle, or si circle I, ay may central angle na BIG. Now, since we are given that these two circles are congruent, and if angle SET is congruent to angle BIG, then yung kanila pong arcs, corresponding arcs, si arc ST, at saka si arc BG, excuse me po, ay congruent din. Okay? Now, ano naman yung tinatawag natin na converse na ito? Yung converse po ay kung given naman yung kanilang arcs, then their angles are congruent. So, what does that look like? Here in this example, given that circle E is congruent to circle I, and if the arc ST is congruent to arc BG, then the angles SET and angle BIG are also congruent. So, yan lang naman po yung sinasabi ni Theorem 1. Okay? Next, we have Theorem number 2. In a circle or incongruent circles, two minor arcs are congruent if and only if their corresponding chords are congruent. So, ganun po ulit. If and only if, ibig sabihin yan by conditional statement siya. So, ibig pong sabihin nun, yung if-then statement natin at saka yung converse niya ay parehong totoo. So, ano yung if-then statement natin dito? If the chords are congruent, then their corresponding arcs are congruent. The converse naman po, if the arcs are congruent, then the corresponding chords are congruent. So let me show you a visual example of this. So here we have circle T and circle N. Meron po tayong circle T and circle N. And we are given that chord AB is congruent to chord OE. If that is so, we can actually conclude na yung kanilang intercepted arc, ano yung intercepted arc nila? Si arc AB at saka si arc OE ay congruent din. Okay? So, yan po yung ating if-then statement. Ang converse naman niya po ay kung given the two congruent circles, yung arcs nila ay congruent, then the chords that the corresponding chords for each arc are also congruent. Okay? So, ganun lang naman siya. Nakikita nyo naman yung itong mga theorems na ito ay nandito para lang ipakita yung relationship ng bawat aspect ng circle. So, how do the chords relate to the arc? How do the angles relate to the arcs? And so on and so forth. Okay? Now, let's go to theorem number 3. Ang theorem number 3 po natin ay in a circle, a diameter bisects a chord and an arc with the same endpoints if and only if it is perpendicular to that chord. So, medyo mouthful, medyo marami siyang sinasabi, di ba? So, ano ibig sabihin nito? Let's look at our example. So, meron tayo ditong circle A, tapos meron tayong endpoints na B, E, F, G, at saka C pala, at saka D. Okay? So, medyo maliit yung letter, sorry. So, ito po yung center natin, si A. This is B, this is C, F, D, and then E. Okay? So, ano yung sinasabi ng theorem na ito? Ang sabi ng theorem, kung meron daw tayong diameter na binigay, ang diameter natin ay si BE, given that BE is a diameter, and it is perpendicular to our chord, CD. Kung sila daw ay perpendicular, then, yung ating BE, binabisect daw niya si CD. Anong sabihin ng bisect CD? It cuts CD into two equal segments. Okay? So, ibig pong sabihin, si segment CF at saka si segment FD ay pareho po. Now, hindi lang yung chords yung nababisect niya. Nababisect din po niya yung arc. Okay? So, given na meron tayong arc CD, okay? So, pag nabisect siya ng ating diameter BE, ano po yung nangyayari? Nagkakaroon tayo ng arc CE is congruent to arc ED. Okay? So, hindi lang yung chord yung nababisect niya, pati rin po yung arc. Okay? Now, ano naman yung converse nito? Kasi kung mapansin nyo kanina, if and only if statement din siya or biconditional statement din siya. So, ito naman yung converse niya. Kung meron daw tayong given na circle, si circle A ulit, tapos, we also have ang given naman natin is you have a diameter and it bisects the chord. So, si diameter BE, binabisect daw niya si chord CD. Ibig sabihin, hahahati niya. Yan yung given natin. If it bisects chord CD, then BE is perpendicular to CD. Okay? Now we move on to theorem number 4. Ang theorem number 4 po natin is if two inscribed angles of a circle or congruent circles intercept congruent arcs or the same arc, then the angles are congruent. So ito simpleng if-then statement lang. Hindi po natin kailangang kuhanin ang converse. Okay? So, let's look at two solid examples for this one. Yung first one is same yung kanilang intercepted arc. Okay? So for this one, you are given circle T, and then we have two inscribed angles, CIPN at saka CNOI. Okay? So you are given angle IPN and angle NOI. So these two inscribed angles, kung mapapansin nyo po, iisa lang yung kanilang intercepted arc. Okay? And that is arc NI or IN. Now, since iisa lang ang kanilang intercepted arc, we can conclude that these two angles are actually congruent. Okay? So, yun po yan. Kapag meron kayong dalawang inscribed angle na pareho ang kanilang intercepted arc, then those two angles are congruent. Okay? Now, paano naman kung magkaiba sila? Okay? Like this example. In circle M, meron tayong dalawang inscribed angles ulit. Si P, hindi pala POT, sorry mga anak, hindi siya POT. It's supposed to be OPT. Okay? At saka si angle EN and angle ENW. Okay? So, yan po, si angle OPT at saka si angle ENW. Sila po ay inscribed angles na binigay. And then, we also have your arcs. Si arc OT at saka si arc EW. Now, if you are given that these two arcs are congruent, then yung kanilang mga angles din po ay congruent din. Okay? Pero kailangan yung arcs nila ay congruent para maging congruent din yung angle. Okay po? Alright. So now, let's look at the last theorem, si theorem number 5. If an inscribed angle of a circle intercepts a semicircle, then the angle is a right angle. So, ano ibig sabihin nito? I'll give you a visual example. So, I have here circle O, and then you can see na meron tayong inscribed angle na NTE. So, si angle NTE ay isang inscribed angle. Okay? And then, angle NTE is inscribed, as you can see. Okay? And then, what can you see about this one? Or what can you say about angle NTE? Ano yung kanyang intercepted arc? Ang kanya pong intercepted arc, as you can see, is the semicircle. Paano nating malalaman na semicircle yan? Tingnan nyo po yung chord dun sa base. Kung yung chord po ay isang diameter, it passes through the center, remember? If it's a diameter, then you are sure that arc NSE is a semicircle. Now, dahil siya po ay isang semicircle, sabi nung theorem number 5, ang inscribed angle daw na nag-i-intercept sa kanya ay 90 degrees or a right angle. So, sa totoo lang, madali lang namang i-prove to. Kasi, isipin nyo, diba, inaral natin dun sa last video yung how to get the degree measure of an arc. Diba, ang sabi, kung may given kayo na inscribed angle, tapos meron kayong degree measure ng arc, ang relationship nila is yung degree measure ng arc ay twice nung inscribed angle. So, ibig sabihin, si inscribed angle po ay kalahati nung measure nung ating arc. At since ang ating degree measure ng semicircle is 180 degrees, kapag kinuha natin ang kalahati niyan, ano ba kalahati ng 180? Diba 90? So, 90 degrees ang ating inscribed angle. Okay? So, madali lang siyang i-prove. Pero dahil may theorem tayo, you don't need to prove or say it like this. Okay? So, yan lamang po ang ating mga theorems. We have theorem number 1 until theorem number 5. Now, to strengthen kung paano natin nagagamit itong mga theorems na ito, I have here a very short exercise. Okay? Now, given circle B, you are given ang chord AT and chord MN are both diameters. And you are also given that arc NT is congruent to arc AM. Now, you have to name a pair of congruent chords. So, alin kaya dito yung chords na congruent? Now, di ba kakasabi lang na congruent ang arcs na NT at saka AM. Okay? Now, according to theorem number 2, kung meron daw tayong congruent arcs, tapos meron siyang corresponding chords, then those corresponding chords are also congruent. So, ano po ba yung mga corresponding chords natin? We have chord NT at saka si chord AM. Okay? So, yan po ang ating isasagot, ha? Si chord NT and chord AM. Alright? So, next, number 2. So, in a circle, it's still the same given. Now, we have to name naman a pair of congruent central angles. So, alin naman kaya dito sa mga figures na ito ang congruent central angles? So, dahil kakasabi lang ulit or given na ang ating arc NT ay congruent kay arc AM. So, ano yung titingnan natin? Siyempre, yung corresponding central angles nito or yung mga central angles na nag-intercept sa kanila. So, ano-ano po ba yun? We have angle TBN. Oops. Sorry about that. We have angle TBN. Yan po yung nag-intercept sa arc NT. At saka, angle MBA. Ang nag-intercept naman sa arc AM. So, yan po yung isasagot natin. So, we have angle TBN at saka si angle MBA. So, yan po ang ating pair of congruent central angles. And now, the last exercise is name a pair of congruent inscribed angles. So, dito naman, inscribed angles naman ang titingnan natin. So, alam natin na ang ating NT, arc NT, ay congruent kay arc AM. So, alin kaya dito yung pwede nating sabihin na inscribed angles na congruent? So, pwede po, kung mapapansin nyo, if you would look at angle TMN at saka angle NAT, what do they have in common, mga anak? They have in common their intercepted arc. Okay? So, iisa lang yung intercepted arc nila. Ulitin ko ha, itong angle na to. Si TMN at saka si NAT. Okay? So, as you can see, they have the same intercepted arc. At according sa theorem number 4, if they have the same intercepted arc, then the angles are congruent. So, we can say that angle TMN and angle NAT are congruent pairs or is a congruent pair. Okay? So, yan lang. Diba napakadali lang? Kailangan lang natin maintindihan ang ating theorems at kailangan lang natin alam or kailangan nating alamin kung paano sila gagamitin in certain types of problems. So, yun lamang po. Sana marami kayo natutunan sa ating very quick lesson lang for this week. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and pakiclick na rin ang bell button para makaka-receive kayo ng notifications every time mag-upload ako ng video. Okay? So, kung meron po kayong comments, suggestions, or questions about this topic or any other topic naman sa math, please feel free to write them at the comment section down below. Sasagutin ko po yan, mga anak. Sige po, maraming salamat sa panonood and see you next time. Paalam!